Let's do the end of the year reading survey. This is a survey I've been seeing around, and in previous years, for some reason, I don't think I ever watched it or saw what the questions were. This is the first year that I've been watching everybody's and looking at everybody's answers, and I've just been enjoying the answers so much. It reminds me so much of the mid-year book freakout tag, and I love that tag, so I decided I wanted to do it myself this year. Now, I don't even know what the questions are. I have nothing prepared, so I'm going to be looking down on my phone a lot, and I'm going to try and give different answers for every question to try not to repeat books too much, and you know, we're just going with it, seeing how it goes. I just really wanted to get this video filmed because I feel like the farther we get from the end of the year, the less people are going to care about these answers. It's like as soon as the year ends, people no longer care about the books you read last year. They just want to talk about the books that you're reading in 2022. But like, I read 190 books last year. I want to talk about them. Also, you can't do the end of the year survey until the end of the year has actually happened, you know? Because what if I read an amazing book right at the end of the year, you know? You know. So I believe the first question is actually, how many books have you read this year? And the answer is 190. I ended there. My original goal was 100. I obviously blew that out of the water, so I changed it to 125, and then I changed it to 150, and then I just kind of stopped there and figured like anything else is gravy. I'm super happy with 190. Last year, I believe I read 214 books or something like that. But I mean, that was the first year of the pandemic, you know? That was an anomaly. I don't think that will ever happen again. I will say I actually kind of want to read less books this year, which sounds crazy because I feel like it's such a booktube thing to try and like read more and more every single year. But honestly, like, there are other things in my life that I enjoy as well as reading that I would like to get back to a little bit. I still want to read at least 100 books. I believe that's what my goal will be for the next year. So I'm sure I'll still read over 100, but okay, I just need to find the questions. I know Gabby Reeds just did this. I just watched hers not that long ago. Right? I think. Wait, did I not? Yes, okay. So I'm gonna go off of the questions she has. I have no idea who came up with this survey, so I could not tell you, sorry. Oh, the next question is most read genre. Shit. I guess I should have prepared the answers to these. You know what, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that was probably thrillers. I especially really dug into thrillers at the end of the year, but I also read like a good variety of YA thrillers as well. So between YA and adult, I definitely think that's probably the genre I read the most of. I feel like genres are so subversive, like you really depends on what you think each book is because they can fit into so many genres. So like I read some horror, thrillers, crime, whatever that could probably all sort of somewhat fit into the thriller genre, and so that's what I'm going with. Longest and shortest books you read. The longest book I had to have read is either It by Stephen King or The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. I believe it is around 1,100 pages-ish. It depends because obviously every version of the book is a different length, has different number of pages because the font is different. And the Alexandre Dumas book has like 1,300, I think. They're both hefty books. I believe you probably know what both of them are about because they're both pretty prolific books. The shortest book I read is probably, oh god, Forbidden by Seven Rue, I bet you. That book was about 60 pages and it was horrendous. It was a scarring experience, to say the least. It was about a girl who has sex with her dad, uncle, and like dad's best friend. They're not actually related, but he did grow up with her and like raise her as his daughter, basically. So like, still gross. Favorite book published in 2021. Okay, I am not great about reading new releases. Like, it's just not really something I do. So I feel like there are going to be so few things to choose between. I think that my favorite book that was published in 2021 was The Push by Ashley Aldrain. I just love this book. I truly believe that this is like as close to a perfect book as you can get, especially for a debut novel. I think that's crazy. This is a book about a mother who is having a very hard time with her newborn daughter. She's just really not feeling that connection with her daughter. The longer time goes, the older her daughter gets, she starts to believe that there might be something wrong with her daughter and not her. the author does such a good job of just like leaving you wondering if this is postpartum depression or if there maybe actually is something wrong with this child. Like, you truly don't know. I love the way she leaves just so many options open and like really walks that fine line. I think it's so hard to do that properly, and she killed it. And I also thought she did a really good job of weaving in kind of the generational trauma between not only this mother and her daughter, but between the main character and her mother as well, and her mother's mother. Like, this book was fantastic, and I think it was probably my favorite book published in 2021. Now, the next question is my favorite book not published in 2021, and I feel like this is like spoiling my top 10, because obviously now you're gonna know either The Push or this book was my #1 book of the year. But regardless, I'm gonna answer, and that is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. I fucking love this book. This is so up my alley. Like, this is everything I love in a novel. This was a, how do I explain this? Like an Agatha Christie, Knives Out sort of mystery thriller about this one man who's trying to figure out who killed Evelyn Hardcastle. And is there a way to stop it? Because as you find out through the novel, he continuously wakes up in different bodies and relives the same day over and over again until he can figure out who did it. I just loved everything about this book. I thought it was layered so magnificently. In order to do this properly, it had to be so intricately woven together, and the author did such a good job, and he made all the characters so unique to each other. I loved the way that every time he switches bodies, his thought process and his actions changed based on the person that he's inhabiting. I also even loved the ending of how this is happening and why this is happening, which I thought for sure that would leave me being like totally bummed out, kind of like totally left hanging, because I thought, like, how could you answer this? It's gonna have to be an open ending. But like, no, they actually have an answer, and I liked it a lot. And I think it actually leaves it open for sequels, which I would adore. Like, I kind of really hope he does that. And the vibe, you know, the taking, or the Knives Out type of vibe of these rich people in this mansion, like, it was just so good. The one thing I will say going into it is you have to know that there is like this one body that he inhabits where you are gonna have to deal with some hardcore fat phobia bullshit, and I really wish that shit wasn't in the book. It drove me nuts in the few chapters it was in, because it is just so goddamn obnoxious and really fucking unnecessary. But that is my warning to you on that book. Otherwise, a perfect novel. Well, shit. Favorite debut. I should really read these questions ahead of time. Favorite debut published in 2021. So that would have actually been The Push by Ashley Audrain. So let's switch these. My answer for best debut novel is The Push by Ashley Audrain. My answer for what was the best book, my favorite book published in 2021 that isn't a debut, is going to be the third book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. So As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. I just thought that this series, like, I fell in love with this series. I read the 3 books within 2 months, like all 3 of them, and first of all, they're great as audiobooks. I never mentioned this in my reviews, but they're done in podcast form, and I'm one of the few people who actually don't like that. It usually just feels unnecessary to the stories I've read with it in the past, and it just feels like it's been tacked on, and if you took it out, it wouldn't take anything out of the actual book itself. Whereas in this book, like, it adds so much. It's plotted into the story in a way that matters. Like, the entire investigation is through this, and you'd really just like hear her investigation step by step. Because it's not like an edited podcast. You're not hearing like the podcast once it's finished, you're hearing her as she goes and how she figures this out. And like, it's so well done. I love her character. I thought this third book was great. I loved the character arc she has. Like, that's my favorite part about the series, is watching her go from this average teenage girl who ends up going through these awful things and discovering these awful like truths about the world and about the society she lives in, unfortunately, that does not favor women. And you get to watch her get angry and get even. You get to watch her suffer from some of the traumatic shit she's gone through, and it all just feels so well earned. So yeah, that's my favorite book published in 2021. A book that lived up to the hype. I mean, I can't just say The Good Girl's Guide to Murder books again. Oh, you know what? I read Nevermore this year. I read Nevermore and Wondersmith. I haven't gotten my hands on Hollowpox yet. I absolutely love this world, and they definitely lived up to the hype. This is a middle grade story that takes place in a place called Nevermore about this girl named Morgan Crow, who is known as like bringing this terrible luck upon the world. I think because of the day she was born. It has been a while since I read these two books. Like, it has been, I think I read them near the beginning of the year. Basically, it is foretold that she will die on her 11th birthday, I believe, 12th birthday. Once again, it's been a while, okay? But she gets swept away by this man, Jupiter, and gets admitted to this school for these magical children. And first of all, honestly and mostly, is I absolutely love Jupiter's character and his bond with Morgan. Like, that is just so precious to me. This magical world is being slowly fleshed out in a way that I really, really enjoy. I can sometimes get like really overwhelmed by fantasy in general. Like, that's why I don't read it really. But the way that this is kind of slowly gaining details around this world, it kind of works for me, although I can see it not working for other people. But this shit is hyped up for a reason. I feel like people love it, and I definitely do too. Totally worth the hype for me. So I imagine the next question is gonna be, what's a book not worth the hype? And oh boy, I always have so many answers for this. Let's just talk about whatever the first one I come around to. Oh, okay. The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. I read this as a buddy read with my friend, and I don't think she liked it that much either. I saw that she gave it 2 stars. That is also what I gave it. This was basically about a guy who wants to kill his wife because he finds out she's having an affair, and it's better, I guess, to him than getting a divorce. And so he meets this woman on a plane, or while they're waiting for a plane, whatever, and she decides that she's going to help him kill his wife. I just did not give a shit about this book, truly. Like, people hyped it up so much, and it's the book that made me want to read Peter Swanson because, like, everyone talked about it like it was so great, and I don't get it. Like, there was no twists or reveals, in my opinion. It just, like, started at point A and kind of, like, went forward. But nothing happened that I found particularly interesting. Like, I will always say that I will take a character study over any sort of twisty narrative, and I didn't really think this was a particularly interesting character study either, and I guess that was the main problem. I found the male's point of view insufferable because, like, he was just such a turd, and then the woman's point of view, I just didn't find her particularly interesting either. I didn't like her. I don't think I was supposed to like her, but I was hoping to at least be interested by her and the choices she was making, and I wasn't. But yeah, I was really excited for this one, and it just, like, totally let me down. Okay, books that felt like the biggest accomplishment, and this has got to be The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas, because dear God, that book was boring. I was actually enjoying it for the first 20%, and I was like, wow, who is she? Enjoying a classic? Enjoying an epic? Like, wow, like, it's a whole new, smarter, more cultured Amy. And then I got past the 20% mark, and, like, once he got out of jail, I do not care. Like, not one bit. Like, there was not a single sentence in that book after he got out of jail that I gave a shit about. Holy fuck, man. Like, this story, and I've realized one of the things that I don't like is when a book involves people telling stories to each other. American Gods did it by Neil Gaiman. That one was full of that. It was full of just characters talking to each other and, like, telling stories about either themselves or about other people, but, like, nothing's happening, they're just, like, talking. And in this book, that was the same thing. It was just, like, a bunch of characters telling the stories of their lives, like, to each other and to other characters, and, like, there was no plot, and it was so fucking boring. I gave it 1 star. I can't believe I got through it. Like I said, accomplishment, but just watch the movie. Fuck, man. Favorite character? Shit. I already answered the Good Girls Guide to Murder books. Damn it. Oh, okay. I started reading the Keeper of the Lost Cities books, and my favorite character from these books is Keith Sensen. I absolutely adore him. This is a middle grade series about a bunch of elves and this magical school and them trying to, like, beat this evil that's trying to take over or whatever. Like, you know, it doesn't matter. The point is that Keith Stenson has my heart. Not actually, because like I said, this is a middle grade novel, and so like they're children, but like I want him with the main character so bad. Like the flirty, full of himself, but like really super nice and is always cheering Sophie on. And I think like that's what makes him my absolute favorite character, is because so often in books like these, you see boys fighting over the girl, but also like telling them what to do or what not to do to try and quote unquote protect them, and that drives me nuts. Whereas Keith, like, he is constantly telling that Sophie, no matter what, that she can do it, that no matter what, she should do it, like, and he is always willing to risk his life to go with her on whatever adventure that she needs to go through. And like, I just love him so much and love them as a couple so much. My heart is always happy whenever he's on page. Like, he's definitely what makes the books for me, and like the only book from the series I haven't liked so far is the one where he was kind of like sidelined. So yes, definitely my new favorite character for this year. I'm kind of obsessed. He's like my child. Oh crap, least favorite character. Oh, let's just go with the same series. I know I said I wasn't gonna repeat series, but like, we're here, we're doing it. I'm just gonna say Dex. I fucking hate him. In any other book, he would be my favorite character. I love nerdy boys. Like, in books, in TV shows, in real life, like, nerd boys are my type. And so they are always the ones I root for. But Dex, like, I hate him. Like, I truly just fucking can't stand him. And it's all because of his, like, crush on Sophie and the way he treats her because of it, and the way he treats everyone else because of it. Like, she's not allowed to talk to or have any, like, friendship with any other guy, because God forbid she spend time with any other boy but him. I literally fucking hate him. I do think in the series they're, like, moving away from that, and holy mother, thank God. Because I want to like him. But right now he's insufferable. I've never wanted a child to die so badly. Favorite couple, OTP. Well, I already said Sophie and Keith. God damn it, I can't mention the Good Girls Guide to Murder books either, but like, the couple in that book, just saying. Ooh, I know like OTP stands for One True Pair, but like, the triad, shall we say, in the American Queen trilogy by Sierra Simone. I'm into that. Also, of course, like, the original Sinner series, the triad in that is like my one true love forever, like always. But I didn't like originally read those books this year. I just read some of the sequels this year, so I don't know if that counts. Let's go with the couple in the Scholomance series by Naomi Novik. I can't remember names as per usual. Elle and Orion? Somehow I've read 2 whole books with these characters in them and like still don't know their names. But yeah, I love them as a couple. This is another magical school book. Like, what is happening to me? Apparently I really, really like that genre. These 2 characters, I adore their dynamic so much. He is the kind of hero of the school. Like, he's just saving everybody's lives and killing all the bad things that are trying to attack them. Like, everyone wants to be his friend and be by him. Basically everyone wants to use him, really, because like, he's saving everyone's lives and he's so good at what he's doing. I didn't explain what the series is about, but basically they're in a school where everything's trying to kill them and everyone else is just trying to make it alive until graduation. There's just monsters everywhere, essentially. And Elle is this character who everybody hates, nobody wants to be around her, and to be honest, she doesn't really want to be around them either. And I love the way that she is like the only person in the school who doesn't kiss Orion's ass, and she's constantly like being a bitch to him, and he just like doesn't even notice that it's happening. He's just like happy to be there. I don't know, they're so cute. And like, when they finally start to realize that maybe they like each other, I adored it. Like, I'm all about that shit. I just really liked this dynamic of like her being the kind of shitty person and him being like a little bit of a himbo vibe. Like, not totally, he's not a total dumbass. He's more of like a social dumbass, but so cute. I love a sarcastic character in any way that I can get them, but having the girl be the sarcastic character instead of the guy is something I enjoy. I find usually we get the girl hero sidekick with the guy with the sarcastic guy character, like Sophie and Keith, and this was kind of the reverse of that, and it's fun. The best written book you read this year. So I'm actually gonna say The Alice 6 by Olivia Blake, and I feel like a lot of people think this book, it's like on either side, where some people absolutely adore the writing and everyone else hates the writing and thinks it needs like heavy editing. I personally absolutely loved the writing. This book definitely made me swoon. The way these characters think about each other, the way these characters talk to each other, it's definitely not realistic in any way. Everything they say is so like beautifully tragic in some way, and dark but gorgeous. Everything's a little sensual, like everything has sexual tension in this book, and I just like kind of fell in love with it. There was like a certain part of it that I really didn't like. There was about 30% where the book was losing me, but in that second half of the book, like I just fell for it. The way these characters interact and talk to each other, like that's the writing that I'm especially talking about, and the way they think to each other. I don't know how to explain it. It's so beautiful though, and there were so many things I wanted to like underline, and yeah, the observations they have about each other. I don't know, things were just giving me goosebumps in this book. Book that you push the most people to read in 2021. I honestly don't think like my channel's big enough to push people to read anything, but I have made my friend Amber read things, so like I feel like I could say any of the 30 books that she's read is something I pushed someone to read. Favorite book cover of the year. Oh, the A Lesson in Vengeance cover by Victoria Lee. I love that cover. That cover is like 80% of the reason I still have this book on my TBR, because otherwise I would have removed it. I've heard such mediocre things about it that I've kind of lost interest, but that cover has me still wanting it. So that's gotta be it. I feel like when a cover is so beautiful that it will make you like guess your better senses, make you doubt your better senses. That's something. I also love the cover to A Touch of Jen by Beth Morgan. I know some people hate it. I'm totally into that vibe. I feel like I match that vibe actually right now, so I think that's an obvious winner for me as well. The Goddess of Filth cover by V. Castro is another one that I just really like. It looks like a movie cover, like it looks like an indie horror movie. An erotic, god damn it, cat hair man. Looks like a essentially erotic horror movie. A Dowry of Blood cover. I feel like everyone, that cover is just gorgeous. I feel like so many people probably answered that for this question, because it truly is just like one of the best covers this year. Oh, favorite book adaptation. I honestly don't think I watched any. Like, oh, the fucking Shadow and Bone series came out this year, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. I, at first, was really disappointed with the way that they did the Six of Crows stuff, because that's truly what I care about. I read Shadow and Bone series, but like I didn't much care for it, but I love the Six of Crows duology, and I didn't love the way they did Kaz Brekker in the show. I feel like they did him dirty, but the more I thought about it, the more I actually think that they're nailing it, because this really does feel like a prequel to where Kaz Brekker like has to end up and like kind of how he gets there. So I'm actually really fucking excited to see where that show is going, and so excited to see more of our favorite crows. What book made you cry the most? I'm so not a crier with books. With TV shows, dear God, like hand me the tissue box for every Grey's Anatomy episode, because like I'm a mess, but with books I just don't seem to get there. Especially since I've like gone on antidepressants, it really takes something to make me cry. I'm gonna go with, even though like I don't know if anything actually made me cry this year, I'm gonna go with Hunger by Roxane Gay, because this is a memoir about her, just about herself and her body and her connection and relationship with her body. She talks about a sexual assault that happened that was very traumatic in her very early adolescence, and like how that affected her, how it made her want to gain weight almost as armor to keep people away from her. And Roxane Gay is just such a tremendous writer that like she really cuts to your core. She just speaks so many truths in such profound ways that it definitely affects you, and it's probably the book that affected me the most while reading it. Now, a book that made me laugh the most, I'm going to go with more of the sequels or whatever in the Original Sinners trilogy, or not trilogy, the Original Sinners series. I read several more of the books this year. I read the first 3, I believe, last year, and then I read, or maybe I read 4 last year. I definitely read books 5 and 6 this year, as well as some of the short stories and novellas, and these books constantly make me laugh. I love these characters so freaking much, and the way that they have conversations just like kills me. I was just reading the winter novellas, Winter Tales, and I was laughing like every couple sentences because just the snarky banter between Eleanor and Soren and Kingsley. I can't help but giggle at like everything they say and do, and the way that they pick at each other and the way that they love each other. It's my all-time like favorite series. A new favorite author you discovered this year. The thing is, I definitely wouldn't say I have any new favorite authors because I don't think there's any authors that I've like read more than one thing from this year, unless it was like a series like the Holly Jackson Good Girl Guide to Murder books. But there's definitely... One second. My cats are cuddling on the couch. Nobody panic. No. Why don't I know how to work this tripod? God damn it. I figured it out. The truly important stuff. After the cute cat interruption, so I would say more so, I don't know if I have a new favorite author, but I would say that there are certain authors that kind of cemented themselves as authors that like I want to continue to check out, like Saffron A. Kent and Sierra Simone and Tiffany Reese, of course, are like 3 smut authors that I absolutely love and will continue to check out, but they are people I've read from in the past. Anne Denton, I would say, is a new one. I read the Lottoman series from her. There's only 2 books. It's a duology, and like I really enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. So she's someone I really want to check out more smut from. And then there's people like Lane Fargo that I really want to read more from. Honestly, there's a lot of authors. I should just like pop some up on the screen here because there's so many authors I read from this year that I just want to read more from. Yeah, so favorite book you reread this year? I don't really do rereads. I want to. I should do rereads more often, but I just didn't this year. There's just so many books out there that I want to read that I'm like, how could I possibly stop for a second to reread something that like I've experienced before? The last question is, what is the best nonfiction book you read this year? And I think that is going to be In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park. So this book is about Yeonmi Park and her family and their escape from North Korea. At first, this book wasn't connecting with me, and I think that the book is written kind of at a distance. It's not as emotional as a lot of memoirs you will read, but I think it's necessary to have that distance to really fully explain everything that her family had to go through to escape this country. And not to mention just living in this country in the first place. Like, they went through so much, and this book was just so good. It just had so much information in it that like I did not know. I'm not like a history buff. I'm not someone who researches a lot on geography. I don't know a lot about other cultures, and like I should, but I don't. And this book, I feel like, taught me so much about North Korea and the way that people live there. The constant propaganda, which is something I knew a little bit about, but not quite, just like how little outside information they get in. I also never realized just like how bad their economy was, and their daily living conditions are horrendous. And she really goes into detail on like the things that they had to do just to get by. And then she talks about their escape and how things weren't great then either, because people who escape this country and go to places like South Korea or China are often deported back to North Korea, and so they have to go into hiding and end up in even worse situations, these really dangerous situations, often in the sex trafficking industry, because it's the only way they can make money. It was just such a good book. It was so enlightening, and yeah, it was one of the best nonfictions I read this year, along with Hunger by Roxane Gay, obviously, but nonfiction really sticks with me, I feel like, more than any other books. I really want to make sure I continue to read more nonfiction this year because it turns out I really enjoy memoirs. I definitely skipped a question. Fuck. Okay, the question that I skipped was most shocking book / moment. And I wanted to include this because I definitely, for me, the most shocking moment was When No One Was Watching by Alyssa Cole. I am not often shocked anymore by thrillers. I just read and watch so many of them that is truly hard to kind of surprise me with a twist. And I feel like there was one moment in this book that really shocked the hell out of me that I did not see coming whatsoever. And it isn't the ending, it has nothing to do with the big reveal. It has to do with the main character and something in her past, and like, if you know, you know. I just truly never saw it coming, and like, it was done so well. Seriously, props to Alyssa Cole for that one. It kind of changed what we knew about the character, but it also made sense with her too. And it made sense with her situation. It's something that has been done in real life that we've heard about in real life, and it made social, political sense with the book, and I just, props is all I gotta say, because it was one good moment. So yeah, that was my year-end reading survey. I feel like talking about these books has made me really excited because I honestly feel like I read a lot of mediocre books this year, but I feel like talking about these again, it just reminded me that there were such gems hidden amongst the others that I just like absolutely adored, and I'm so happy I found and experienced. So I can't wait to see what 2022 has in store. Because you know what? 2021 as a year overall was kind of shit, but I did read some good books, and at least that's something. I hope you liked this video. I hope you come back again soon. Bye.